Hey, Sandra.
Hi, Greg. If I may, I have two questions for you
Yeah,
today.
fire away.
The first one, I'll start with what I think is the easier one. My son, who's not quite 50, his doctor tells him that he has full body inflammation, and it kind of runs in my family. And I was wondering, when I looked through all my notes for inflammation, I wasn't really quite sure which one would be the most appropriate.
So, is there a particular health issue that's happening right now, or is
Not yet, but I'm kind of afraid. I think he does probably have high blood pressure. He has a high stress job. And heart disease runs in my family. And so I'm just a little concerned that if the inflammation continues, that will have. And he's promised me he would take at least one oil.
I like that he's qualified it, and just like maybe one, like
Yeah,
at least.
just to shut him up.
Right. So the thing that would be really helpful for when there's a lot of body inflammation, you have some choices. My first go-to one is black cumin. Black cumin, really super good anti-inflammatory. It's good for cleaning up the body. It stimulates lymphatic function, which if he has a lot of inflammation, the lymphatic system is either working overtime to process it, or maybe a little bit like stagnant, like, it's like a little bit gunked up, especially the lymph nodes and things like that. And so black cumin can be really quite helpful here. Turmeric would also be another one that would be on the list, but I would probably go black cumin myself.
Okay.
And then like topically, any of the oils that are real dark blue, like German chamomile, yarrow, things like that. You can mix it into like witch hazel or alcohol, and then shake it up really good, because then it'll separate a little bit. So shake it up really good, and then just rub it all over the body. That will greatly reduce inflammation, actually relatively quickly. It's very soothing to the sensory nerves when there's a lot of inflammation. The byproduct of it is the sensory nerves get overstimulated, and the person themselves starts to get overstimulated because of that. And so I made a blend about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, that what do we call it, blue healer, and it's just all the blue oils. They have the dark blue is caused by a molecule called azulene, and it's very super anti-inflammatory. And so you see it in anything that's got a blue tint to it, or dark blue, that's got decent amount of azulene in it. And so we just basically combined all of them with some helichrysum and things, and that's what it was made for, is to put on topically to soothe the sensory nerves and reduce inflammation. And so, I'd keep it really simple, especially since he's willing to do a little bit, but not do something super crazy. Like 3 or 4 drops black cumin every day, like in water, but he could even just go direct on his tongue. It's a little thick, it comes out a little slow, but you can do that. And then if he'd be willing to do the topical thing, it would be very soothing, and if he has aches and pains, it would take some of the pain out. But if you had to choose one, I'd go black cumin.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. My
second question is a very good friend. His wife is a client of mine. He's in his early 70s, extremely active, but for some reason his lymphocyte count keeps going down. If, say, the bottom of the normal count would be 25, his has gone down in the last year to 13. Now his doctor is on leave right now, and he doesn't want to go to any other doctor, but his wife is really concerned, and I don't know enough about the lymphocyte count to know if this is serious or if it's just something he should be watching.
It's probably a little bit serious.
Yeah, I did scan. He has a problem with the bone marrow. He doesn't seem to have a problem with the thymus. So it sounds like kind of maybe, well, I hope not a blood cancer, but
It could be several things. Sometimes you might see something like this with intense viruses as well.
mhm.
Um,
He says he hasn't had COVID,
okay.
and he hasn't really
Oh,
been sick.
it would probably be even a stronger virus than COVID. Like it would be
Okay.
like really nasty viruses. And so, hmm, does he
He
have a
does
lot of
say that he's
uh,
sorry, his
go ahead.
says that his energy, he's usually an energetic guy, and it's
Yeah.
been going down, down, down.
Yeah.
So,
So this is what I would do. Like, we're not trying to diagnose it or know anything. I mean, really with the information that we have and that we just know that it's lymphocytes and everything is I would do a lot of lymphatic work.
uh-huh.
Uh, lymphatic blend, Bayloral for the lymph nodes. Um, one of the things that I would question, not that this is a cause of it, but we want to try to keep things moving with the lymphatic system as much as possible is how much is he urinating? Like, is he urinating regular? Is he not urinating that much? And so, if so, we'd want to look at kidney function as well.
Mhm. Okay.
And maybe ask him that and like shoot us an email and let us know. But basically, with what we know right now, a lot of lymphatic work, just any variation of the lymphatic work,
Okay.
Um,
Laurel's good for that, isn't it?
Bayloral is good for the lymph nodes. Lymphatic blend, chocolate root cleanser is a lymphatic stimulant. Even the pepper supreme or viscosity is literally about the viscosity of the lymph fluid,
Mhm.
and that can be quite helpful. But just start going after the immune function. Let me look something up here real quick. Yeah, I mean, it's sick with what we were talking about. Like, have you focus on Bayloral and like lymphatic blend or CRC, something of that nature, and just go crazy with it. You could put a bunch on the body at once.
Okay.
Even the Bayloral, you could even put it on meat, like hit all the joints
Okay.
and put several drops on each of the joints, unless his skin is reacting.
Uh-huh.
It's a little bit more of you're wanting to try to jumpstart the body to go back into a phase of healing.
Mhm.
And so yeah, those don't look good. Let's do this. Do you have Bayloral?
Yes, I do. And I
Okay.
have CRC and I have,
Okay, perfect. And how about lemongrass? Do you have lemongrass?
I do. Uh-huh.
Okay, so take some lemongrass and put about 30 drops per ounce, like 25 drops to 30 drops per ounce of either alcohol or witch hazel,
Uh-huh.
and shake it up and have him rub it all over his body.
Okay.
And then follow it up, like when that dries up, you can go through and put the Bayloral on the joints, where they're creased. Maybe just be careful with the armpit because that might make it sting a little bit, but get it kind of close into the armpit area.
Uh-huh.
Or he can take 2-3 drops, maybe even, let's say 3 drops internally in some water.
Okay. You're talking about Bayloral for that, right?
Yeah, Bayloral. And I would have him do black cumin internally as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same 3 drops.
Yeah, 2 to 3 drops. They don't have to be together. You can spread them apart. But
Okay.
how old is this gentleman?
He's in his early 70s.
Okay. And when's his doctor getting back?
Oh gosh, I think it's going to be about 3 weeks. And this has been happening over the year. She sent me, she told me what happened. She said a year ago it was 17. She thought that was kind of low, and then it went to 15, and then it went to 13, and the doctor hasn't said a word, and so he assumes it's okay, but she doesn't assume it's okay, and I think would be worried.
Something's up. Like,
Yeah.
let's just say this, like, we're not going to guess what it is, but something's up.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
So yeah, let's start with these things and see how that helps, and just highly suggest that he get in and see his doctor when his doctor comes
Okay.
back.
Can I just ask you one more thing?
Of course.
Back to the inflammation. Does Moroccan thyme work for something like a lot? I know it works for autoimmune
Mhm.
problems. Would it be a good thing for the body inflammation or not necessarily?
Yeah, it is actually anti-inflammatory. The Moroccan thyme, I use that sometimes as an anti-inflammatory, that especially when it's just kind of non-specific, where you know how like sometimes you just feel inflamed, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just so black cumin would work. Moroccan thyme does work, and the benefit with Moroccan thyme is it does stimulate the function of the thymus, and helps to regulate the thymus. And so you could use that. You could actually still even use it with black cumin.
Okay.
But usually when I start talking about treatment with somebody, like I kind of don't want to overwhelm them with a bunch of things to do, so I kind of pick one. But you could do multiple things, like the Moroccan thyme and the black cumin. Both would be good. And the thing with the thing with Moroccan thyme is it's also really good for like low-grade infections that have either been there for a long time or sometimes even get overlooked. Like it's just enough of an infection to cause a problem, but like even sometimes when you go and you get testing done and everything, it doesn't really show up.
Right.
It's just low grade. Moroccan thyme is really good for that. It's really, really good for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes when somebody has like a health issue and it's not responding to normal treatment, and we're not sure is it virus, is it bacterial or whatever, I actually will start rotating them through the different types of thyme. Some of them are very good at treating more viruses, more bacterias. But when you start rotating it, they all have their little personality for it. And so it's a way to have like a full spectrum approach. When you blend it together, it still works, but sometimes I like to let them do the thing that they do on their own. And so, if you're really looking at some serious immune type compromise, and we know that it's not autoimmune, you could rotate through the different times. But if you just think it's low grade, or if there's inflammation, inflammation happens. It's literally actually what the aging process is. The aging process is an inflammatory response. And so by going through and minimizing and reducing the inflammatory response, you actually are slowing down the aging process, or the potential for the body to break down. And so anytime that you're kind of in doubt, sometimes like with what is going on, you can always jump to inflammation. It doesn't hurt treating it, and the body usually has some level or degree of inflammation to begin with. And so it just makes everything work a little bit better when the inflammation is reduced. And so it's always a good thing to jump to. And so Moroccan thyme, I take it from time to time, and I do it more for just keeping the thymus regulated, but I usually do it when I'm feeling a little inflamed, be it that it's my back, or like a little bit of allergies, or travel and fatigue, and just being in, different locations, and being out of sorts, I'll come back home or get to a hotel, and I just, I'll kind of go deep on the Moroccan time and the benchmark time.
Mhm.
As we were driving home yesterday, we were both like going back and forth between the benchmark time. It's like, okay, now pass it to me, and then we're going back and forth.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's like it strengthens the body. It makes you kind of breathe better, and gives circulation to the lungs, and boy, it's very strengthening to the thymus. And so, yeah, if in doubt, treat inflammation.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.